I should just like, I should just like ask my mom like, from what time is your free time at school? But yeah, that's how it be sometimes. To be fair, actually, my parents were generally kind of chill on that front. You know, they just kind of left me to my own devices. But that was kind of a position of like privilege that we had more than anything. Because we were basically a single, well, only my dad worked, so my mum did a lot of like the sort of house stuff. So as kids, we didn't have to like worry about chores and stuff. Our parents were just like, let them be kids. But that's a privileged position to be in, for sure. Well, as soon as you move out and are an emancipated, well, I guess you can technically get emancipated at a younger age if you want to. But as soon as you move out and are independent, then your time is your own, and then all the responsibilities of real life kick in. Praying for the good RNG. What languages do I know? What, as in like spoken? What spoken? That? Oh, just English. I'm one of those lazy British people who only knows how to speak one language. I mean, if you count programming languages, I know C++ and technically C#. And I could probably manage a bit of Python as well. I assume you know at least two. You know, you're speaking English and you say you're from Poland, so... Language is not. Yeah, I assumed you were. What is weird coding stuff? Education. Wait, really? That's funny. That's really funny because, like, theoretically, if you know one coding language, you can learn most of them. Like, a lot of them, the only differences are like a matter of syntax and some standards. Oof. Some time lost from that shenanigans, but it's fine. We carry on. Polish, English, German, and from programming now a bit of C++ is still learning. German as well, nice. German's a cool language. I mean, they say once you've learned one language, learning more once you've learned, sorry, a second language, learning more becomes a bit easier because of just how your brain processes picking up new stuff. Like one of my friends, his mum learns languages as like a hobby. I think she speaks like 9 or 10 different languages because she'll just be like, "Oh, I want to learn this now." I mean, to be fair, that friend in question knows like 5 languages as well. So, oh come on. What is this? You're a lazy British person who only knows English. Yeah, exactly. Well, Scottish. I prefer Scottish to British, even if British is technically correct. And I guess legally correct. But one day it'll be distinct. One day. Ideally in my lifetime. God, how far behind am I if I'm... Oh, only 0.3. Considering how bad that went, I'm kind of surprised. Fucking collision in this, man. I swear, if I ever make a 2D platformer, the one thing, the most important thing, will be making sure that the collision isn't just awful. Like, collision and controls are two of the most important things in a 2D platformer, and collision and controls are literally the two worst things about this game. Like, they're not awful, but they are the two worst things about this game. Because the level design is great, the story's funny, kind of weird, the art's great, the music's great. Which people know geography well is a big stereotype about Americans not knowing shit about geography. I'd say we know it better. How was that gold? I mean, it really does depend. Like, would I be able to point to a lot of individual countries on a map? Probably not. I'm not that good. I know roughly where some countries are. To be honest, I don't even know British. I don't really care that much about a lot of British geography. Beyond like the big cities and stuff. But, you know, I'm not like fucking, you know, I'm not like, oh, you know, these countries don't exist, or, you know, something that I think is a continent is something that I think is a country is actually a continent kind of stuff, if that's... But, like, when I do, like, countries of the world, like, you know, when you do, like, my group chat will occasionally share, like, sort of quizzes and stuff, and I am nowhere near good enough to know where a lot of stuff is located. I can take guesses, but least safe city. I don't know. I actually don't know the statistics for London, the real statistics. They're very messy. Like, the UK gets a reputation for knife crime, but you also need to consider how we classify knife crime. Like, because I think when people hear knife crime, I think they assume someone's been stabbed. Like, I think that's the assumption made when you hear the term knife crime. That's so shite. But that's, not the case. Knife crime can refer to any offense involving a knife, which, could be something like carrying a knife, which is against the law, unless you're under certain exemptions, such as you're a chef. But if you're a chef, why are you carrying a knife openly? Or, we have like certain religious reasons, like Sikhs are allowed to carry knives. I think it's called the kirpan, because it's part of their religion. Or in Scotland, you can have a knife called a scian dhu as part of your Highland dress. So when I go to weddings, I have a knife tucked into my sock, because that's part of the national dress of Scotland. But the knife crime itself in London, actual knife crime can literally just be you were found carrying a knife, even if you didn't stab anyone. So I think that's where, because the knife crime rates in the UK are often used as a big defense for the psychotic gun advocates in the USA, as being like, oh, well, you take away the guns and everyone just starts stabbing each other. There's a lot of robbery now. I mean, there probably is. But you also need to bear in mind, like, the number one cause of crime in any country is poverty. And the UK has a lot of poor people in it. There's a lot of people below the poverty line in the United Kingdom. And London is very disparate, because it's a very, very expensive city. It's huge. Like, it has got a mass... I mean, there are more people in London than there are in the entirety of Scotland. So it has a massive, densely packed population in a country with a very big gap between the rich and poor. So that inevitably will lead to crime. And when crime festers enough, it will become organized crime, which is how you end up with gang situations. I don't live in London, so I can't speak to the truth of it. I don't think it's a justification for not banning it. Oh yeah, no, it's the ridiculous one. It's like, oh yeah, they'll just start stabbing each other. It's like, yes, but you can't carry out a mass like lethal stabbing. When we have like a knife crime, like a stabbing spree in the UK, there might be one or two, there might be a couple dead at the worst, and a bunch of injuries. Usually, maybe a little bit more. I think like the most severe I can think of was maybe like 5 people or something. When you have a mass shooting, that can be really the death count can hit double digits really easily. So it's twice I just nailed that. Hell yeah. Whoops. Oh yeah, no, it's like a stupid justification. I'm pretty sure the funny thing is, per capita, our violent knife crime, so actual stabbings, is way less, both physically and per capita, than American gun deaths. And I'm fairly certain that our lethal knife deaths are actually not that far off from America's per capita either. But usually when you've got Republicans quoting these statistics, they pretend to not understand what per capita means. So do I feel it's a justification not to ban knives? Just banning the carrying of a weapon that can use to be concealed. But yeah, I mean, like, so there is the availability, like, obviously. Like, a lot of the knife legislation, I mean, yeah, you're not allowed to carry a knife. It is generally an attempt to cut down on it. And the knife crime rules are pretty significant here, but it's why we have so many reported knife crimes. I don't think making it illegal to carry knives without a good reason is necessarily a bad thing. Because there will be some people, not a lot, there will be some people who will be off-put by the prospect of being fined or going to jail if they're caught carrying that stuff. It's not going to be a lot of people, but it will be some people. And it's, not the worst kind of deterrent to have. But yes, because of how... But other things you can and should do is you can limit the availability of certain kinds of knives. Like, a big thing we have in the UK is, like, the fucking I think they are illegal to a degree, is like the zombie hunter knives. You know, these big, massive fucking machetes that you get purely for recreational purposes. They serve no purpose. Those are an issue. And those are largely more banned in the UK. But there has been talk of getting certain other things like replica swords, like, you know, from video games and stuff. And then that's when it starts to become a thing, because obviously I have a replica sword. I've got Frostmourne from World of Warcraft. Now, I keep it at home. It's blunt. It's a blunted sword. But, you know, there'd be nothing to stop someone from sharpening it. And, you know, owning samurai swords and stuff. People like to do that because they're dorks. And I count myself in that. So it's like, okay, well, how do you deal with that? The ownership of that shouldn't be... That's when it becomes the issue. Like, if there are certain restrictions, like if I had to, I don't know, get a license to own that sword, I guess it would depend on the price of the license, but not necessarily opposed to, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to, like, any kind of checks to make sure I have ownership of something like that if that did become a thing. But yeah, there is an availability of extremely dangerous knives, because, like, yeah, you do obviously get, like, you know, kitchen knives are only going to get you so far. To be honest, kitchen knives are really fucking, you know, get pretty pricey as well. So I think it happened, besides the point, it was like two girls who went to Parkland and decided to spend the night there for some reason. They got killed by a knife. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't spend the night in a park in any city. Like, that's not a London exclusive thing. I don't think I'd spend the night in a park in any major city, or anywhere in the world. Because no city is 100% safe. Machetes do have a proper purpose, but it's for chopping brush, which is honestly... Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, these are sites where machetes are being were previously being advertised as, like, zombie apocalypse knives. And it's like, well, the zombie apocalypse isn't a thing, so all you're doing is selling massive, sharp machetes without any kind of background checks. Like, yeah, you can buy kitchen knives, you know, without any kind of checks in Tesco, but a kitchen knife in itself isn't actually that effective as a dangerous weapon, because they're more made to slice than to stab. Literally asking to get hurt. Yeah, it's a problem. Like, I'm not denying that there are issues. We do have a knife crime problem here, but I think the knife crime issues we have are more often used as a deflection against other things. It's the same with Scotland and its drug problems. Like, Scotland does have a drug problem, and, you know, a lot of the problems that happen with it, but, you know, that's often used as a deflection when Scotland tries to criticize other parts of, when, you know, criticism about other parts of government is made. It's like, oh, well, what about your drug problem that you've got? And then it's like, oh, what about the UK's knife crime problem? And it's like, yeah, okay, those are problems, but they're not related to the problem that we were raising. Again, I mean, any kind of problem that is crime, and if crime is a problem, then it is almost definitely, if it's crime committed by poor people, then it is going to be linked to that poverty. You know, because a lot of crime is a result of desperation or a result of environment, and that kind of environment is usually a result of poverty. You help bring about more equality, you help reduce the inequality, you bring more people above the poverty line. Crime will go down. It's like as simple as that. I say it's as simple as that. That is like the reality of it. And the funny thing is, crime of poverty is the only crime anyone cares about. No one cares about rich people crime, really. You know, they get a slap on the wrist, you know, there's a bit of umming and erring, but because the politicians all stand to benefit from that rich people crime, then it doesn't get addressed as much. And then when you look at the modern rhetoric as well, you get crime as a result of, like, hate, and that will be that's obviously a case of rhetoric as well. Being rich is a crime. I mean, that's true. Being rich, being ultra wealthy is actually a crime, or it should be. I don't even think necessarily being a millionaire is inherently a crime. Like, I think there are ways that normal people can ethically become millionaires, but usually it involves extreme luck. A billionaire? No, there is no way to ethically become a billionaire. It's literally impossible. And most multimillionaires will not have got there. The 99% of multimillionaires will not have got there ethically either. People can get away with horrendous crime and shit. Well, I mean, okay, so let's get into a subject that could get me banned on Twitch, because that's always funny. We'll make 2 to 3 million throughout their life. Jesus, that seems like quite a lot, actually. I would have assumed it'd be lower. So let's take a look at the fucking Brian Thompson, Luigi Mangione thing, right? So Brian Thompson was murdered. That is, like, undeniable. So a murder is obviously a crime. I'm never going to deny that either. But if you look at the response to Brian Thompson's murder versus the murder of some random homeless person in the same city, it is the same crime committed potentially for the same committed for the same basic reason of malice. But the Brian Thompson murder resulted in a nationwide manhunt that became 24-hour news coverage until Luigi Mangione was arrested, and has still been constant news coverage since his arrest, and has become one of the most politically charged incidents ever. If a random homeless person is killed, no one gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck unless there's, like, again, some real political motivation. And, you know, it's the same crime. The same crime has been committed. But the difference is, was the victim poor or rich? Brian Thompson was a rich white man, so his death was much more important to the consciousness of the American public than if some random homeless person is killed. Not even a homeless person, just a random working person. Let's take someone who's, like, not even already at the, you know, the bottom, you know, the dreg, you know, considered the dreg society. That was a really good round there. They will still never have any money because they won't. Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Like, you know, there's, yeah, having capital is never happens. Like, I'm very lucky in that I do have some assets. Like, you know, I obviously own my house, which is an asset. The Joker movie, yeah, like, the Joker movie is obviously a big fucking meme, and the right-wing people fucking love it. You know, we live in a society and all that. But the Joker movie is why I think, like, I mean, if we're going to talk about superhero, Batman is a fucking awful person. A fucking awful character and an awful hero. I don't know why he's considered a hero. He's a fucking dick. You know, he's a multi-millionaire, possibly billionaire, and he dresses up in a fucking costume and beats up poor people. Yeah, there are some supervillains and stuff, but the majority of his thing is going around at night beating up people who are committing crimes because they're poor. He could fix the problems that are resulting in this, but he doesn't. And it's so funny that when you take Batman out of the equation in a DC film, but said in the same thing in Gotham, which is what Joker did, you get this really interesting look at the source of crime, the source of poverty. And the effect it has on people. Like, Joker, I think, you know, I've heard the argument that Joker would actually be a better film if it wasn't tied to the DC universe, but I think tying it to the DC universe does, you know, help make point out some uncomfortable truths about the universe itself. All right, I might go into slight focus mode for this now because we have the opportunity here. Oh, that was close. Oh. How did that fucking hit me? Oh, God. Alright, don't tilt. Don't tilt. That is the important thing. Do not tilt. That is what fucking kills runs here. Tilting. Or as Curious Lemur, one of the previous record holders, used to call it, getting the pooies, as he called it. When you make a mistake and then start panicking. Would help if I... Yeah, you can't stand on that one. Better remember that. Yeah, I really like Joker. I appreciate that it's very charged and that liking it, you know, it's risky because you look at, you know, you don't want to be associated with some of the absolute troglodytes who like it for the complete wrong reasons. Like, it's obviously, its message is a bit obvious. Like, you know, it's very like, capitalism bad, you know, we all know that. Come on, come on, come on, we're here. Fucking, we did it, baby. Look at that, minus 42. Felt sympathy for the Joker when watching them. Yeah, no, you do. You feel incredibly sympathetic for him. And that is by design. You're meant to feel sympathy, you're meant to understand, yeah, it breaks him, and you understand why it broke him. Now, obviously, you can't excuse some of the stuff he did, like when he murders that Murray Francis or whatever his name is, the guy live on television. You know, that's insane. But, you know, you understand what's brought him to that breaking point. And that's what's important. It's not saying, oh, the Joker's a good guy, because that's not true. He does some horrible things. He does murder people. And I don't even have that much sympathy for the 3 people he murders to begin with on the train. But, you know, he murders the other person in the other clown person, and then sort of emotionally torments the person played by the little person actor. And then he obviously murders the fucking talk show host for making fun of him. A lot of that is not, you know, you cannot justify exactly how I meant it. Yeah. But you understand how he got there, and that's what I think is really good. And the thing that is so amazing to me about the Joker movie, the thing that is more surprising than anything, is that it's fucking Todd Phillips who made it. Like, I don't understand that. He was like, oh, I'm so fed up of you guys telling me that my comedy movies aren't funny anymore, so I'm gonna go make a serious film and see how you like it. And it's like, this is incredible. More of this, please. And then apparently Joker 2 is fucking ass, so... Which is a shame, because the concept of a sequel to Joker set in Arkham Asylum and having it be a musical has all the ingredients for a fucking banging film. But I can't believe that this is what the VOD is. I thought it's really bad as well. I love that this is what the VOD is. That's really funny.